Hi guys, we just finished packing for our Squamish weekend camping trip, and there's one last little thing I want to get ready, and today is just going to be a little sort of reminiscence, looking back at my youth with tinted glasses and just saying, things were really different back then. So, this is just going to be me playing with some things and just telling you a story of my childhood. So in preparation for the camping trip, which is really just an excuse for me to buy a new toy, I went to pick something up. Can you tell what this is? Of course not, it's in a box. And, the best things always come in a gift package like this. So what's inside? It is Magic the Gathering Commander Anthology Volume 2. So when I was in middle school, this was back when I was in Singapore, there was a time when I got really heavily into Magic the Gathering. This was during I think Nemesis just came out, for those of you that played Magic and didn't know what was happening back then, which really is like an eternity ago, really. If I could just get this thing open without damaging the case. Jeez, maybe I should have used a knife. Come on. There we go. So, yeah, back when Nemesis first came out, that was when I started playing Magic. And for a while, I was really, like I said, really into it. Ended up buying a whole bunch of cards from a classmate of mine, and he started playing around the Urza block, so I got a lot of the Urza cards back then. And that was when really the heavy hitters came into the scene. So you had things like Gaia's Cradle, Serra's Sanctum, and I even had some dual lands. So yeah, those were the days. And I even took part in some of the local competitions. My sort of combo back then. Oops. Let's hope you didn't get deafened by that. Anyway, my combo back then was I would attunement to discard my enchantments, and then replenish to bring back my Sapling Cluster. Was it Sapling? No, sorry, Sapling Burst and Pandemonium. Because with a Sapling Burst, I can create 6 tokens. So 6/6, 5/5, 4/4, 3/3, 2/2, and 1/1. And with a Pandemonium, every time a new creature comes into play, I deal that much damage to a source of my choosing. So really, that was my combo. It was a one-shot kill. It was kind of fun. And in case you didn't know, by the way, what's inside a Commander Anthology Volume 2. We got Devour for Power, Wade into Battle. What is this? Can't read upside down. Build from Scratch, and Breed Lethality. So these are the 4 decks from, I think, 2012 all the way to 2016. So 1 deck from each of the years. This one, really, Breed Lethality, this is the one that sort of made me want to pick up the set because of the commander in this one. I didn't know about this EDH format. Obviously, this is something that was completely new, so I went to a friend of mine and he said, hey, do you want to play Magic? I said, sure. And he told me about this EDH format, so I played it with a few of his decks, and yeah, it was pretty fun. So yeah, I thought, why not get into it? And really, I'm not gonna be, you know, super into these games now. So this is just something casual. And if I want to, you know, upgrade a few cards here and there and just, you know, something to pass the time. But in preparation for the camping trip tomorrow, you know, hashtag relationship goals, I want to try to teach my wife how to play Magic the Gathering. So maybe she gets to play with me. You know, a husband can always dream, right? But yeah, let's just put these things into sleeves and, you know, we can get things rolling. Why don't we start with a deck that got me interested? Atrexa foil, yeah, yada. But anyway, back to the topic of Magic the Gathering. So I mean, back then, you know, yeah, the cards were valuable, but they were still sort of within the realm of affordability, right? Sure, okay, what was it? A Black Lotus back then was already a couple $100, but I mean, it's a couple $100, not like, you know, now where you can pretty much put a down payment on a house, for God's sake. So, yeah, and that sort of got me thinking about, you know, what has the whole tradable card game or collectible card game, you know, all these acronyms, TCG, CCG, you know, what made them so appealing these days? I guess it's just as people, you know, of my generation, as we grow up, you know, we long for the nostalgia of what we used to have when we were kids, and I guess that's where the money is going now. However, I have to say, it's not, I don't think it is a very healthy direction that things are going, because back then, like I said, you know, these cards, sure, they're expensive, but they're still, you know, affordable expensive. So new players coming into the games, they're not as intimidated by it, you know, oh, they can still experiment, and at the end of the day, even if you experiment, you know, it's still just a hobby that you can, you know, pick up and drop whenever you want. But now, when I look at the cards that I used to have, I mean, when I was playing Commander using my friend's deck, I told him about dual lands, and he didn't know what they were, because for most people, for most casual players these days, it is just ridiculously, you know, unaffordable to have these cards that are on the reserve list that are no longer being produced, and it just becomes a very big barrier of entry for, you know, incoming players. So is that really how Wizards wants to play it? I don't know. Sort of one analogy in the art world that comes to mind is Picasso. So for people, I guess this is something, if you watched Pawn Stars, this was on one of their episodes where they got a press of a Picasso artwork. So as it turns out, Picasso created these presses that you can put onto a printing block, and then as you press down, you know, you create a Picasso painting. So what would happen was people would buy these blocks, and whenever they needed money, they would just print a new picture. It was just a new piece of art, and then say, oh, it's a Picasso piece of art, and then they would sell it and get money that way. Drop the card there. And of course, as people print, as the molds get used, the press, as the molds get used more and more, they get worn out. So the details start to disappear, and because of that, that's how they grade whether or not a piece of the pressed artwork has value, by looking at the details that it is still able to retain. I think that's really the same case here with these cards. Say the dual, take the dual lands for instance. Say a Tundra or, you know, Volcanic Island, right? These cards, okay, sure. The unlimited alpha beta, yeah, those ones are always going to be the, you know, the creme de la creme of these cards, because they're so old and there's sentimental value, and, you know, there's just that time factor in there. But what's wrong with reprinting those cards? Okay, if you reprint one, I can guarantee you the people that are hoarding the alpha, the beta, the unlimited dual lands, the Black Lotuses, and the Power 9s, it's not going to affect them because their cards are always going to be valuable. But by reprinting them, I mean, you're able to inject new interest into the player base and say, oh wow, all of a sudden, these cards that were previously, unattainable because every card is just one dual land alone is $300, $400, right? That is, nobody's gonna say, oh yeah, I can do that. You really have to be making it rain wherever you, every other way for you to be able to afford these cards. But by reprinting them, it all of a sudden new players and casual players can say, oh yeah, sure, yeah, I can pick up a set and play with them. And that, to me, that just makes more sense to grow your player base, which is why when I learned about these commander decks, I went, oh yeah, this is a business model that I can really get behind because they're reprinting these cards and getting people to be interested in the card game again and having them go, oh yeah, I can experiment and without too much out of pocket cost. So that's just my take on the whole reserve list thing. And really, had I known that these pieces of cardboard is going to be this expensive and there's going to be such a high demand for it, yeah, I would have kept all my cards. Like I said, I actually had a whole set, as in 4 Gaia's Cradle, 4 Serra Sanctum. I had a full set of Grim Monolith, and of course, like I said, because that classmate of mine, he started playing, I think, like I said, during the Urza block, and he got as many as he could. And he even kept, he even had a whole series of dual lands, so Tundra, Savannah, Volcanic Islands. I mean, I had a play set of a lot of them, and yeah, goes to show the idiotic young me, not seeing value where value is. But, and then of course now we have Magic Arena. I got into the closed beta. They call it closed beta, but everybody who signs up gets 5 sets of beta keys. So really, it is not a closed beta. They're just trying to hype up the market and see how much interest they can drum up. This is just my personal opinion, but I honestly don't think it is the right way to go for Wizards. Yes, I get that Hearthstone is huge right now. No other online collectible card game is able to top Hearthstone within the next, I would say, 5 years. But Wizards is not Blizzard. One of the reasons why I think Hearthstone is so popular and so successful is because Blizzard is able to do the cross-marketing very, very well. If you play Warcraft, here, have a Hearthstone card pack. If you play Diablo, here, have something in Hearthstone. So even if you've never played Hearthstone before, if you've played Warcraft, not even World of Warcraft, if you just played Warcraft before, and you look at some of the characters and some of the cards in Hearthstone, you go, oh, hey, yeah, I recognize that. Yeah, I'll give it a try. So that's where Blizzard excels at. It's really the cross-marketing and the cross-promotion. But for Wizards, I mean, what do you have that you can relate to in terms of the products? Wizards doesn't produce anything else really, and sure, Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, but let's face it, are you ever gonna see, I don't know, Optimus Prime on a Magic card? I highly, highly doubt it. And if it does come to that stage, I think there are bigger problems that Hasbro or Wizard of the Coast is facing. So overall, I mean, I played Magic Arena. I'll put in 3 hours a week just to get my bonus booster pack if I even go for it. But I'm not gonna put any money into it because at the end of the day, why would I want to put money into the virtual one when I can, hold the physical cards in my hand? But like I said, that's just my take on it. I know people that have spent money on it, and more power to you if you do. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's your disposable income. You spend it however way you like. So, yeah, I mean, really, this is just playing, holding these cards in my hand. It just reminded me of all the fun times I had when I was in middle school. I don't know, maybe, yeah, like if, and that's a big if the cards somehow come down in value, or if they decide to reprint the certain cards, maybe I will try to recreate some of the decks I had. Yeah, like I said, the deck that I competed with was the Separate Link Burst and Pandemonium combo. But I mean, there were also other fun ones, like that was back when enchantments were pretty big. So I would have Argothian Enchantress and Viridian Enchantress, and then combo that with Exploration to keep just to ramp up my mana, Landlord Elves, Birds of Paradise, and then I would put in an Ancestral Mask together with Rancor, because Ancestral Mask is an enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for every enchantment you control, and then Rancor gives it +2/+0 trample. So and with Exploration and Wild Growth and Rampant Growth, really by turn 4, I could potentially have, a 26-24 on the board just by the mana ramp, and then being able to draw all the cards from the triggered Enchantress abilities. And then the last deck I made was just a pure blue, terrible a control deck that was really just horrible to play against, because I would literally counter everything. Because remember, I had a set as in 4 Force of Will. So I would have 4 Force of Will, Counterspell, Mana Leak, Power, what was it called? Power Sink, and basically every counter I could get with Forbid, and I would just, I would have Capsize, and I would keep buying it back, and Whisper of the Muse to just keep drawing cards, and really and guess what? The only creatures I had were Thieving Magpie, which is a 1/4 flyer with the ability of whenever it deals combat damage to a player, I can draw a card, and a Masticore. So those were really the only 5 creatures I would cast, and then I had to squeeze Goblin the Bob in there so that I would just feed it to the Masticore every upkeep, and that was it. And the person who was playing against me, because back then I was mainly playing in school against other middle school kids, so they couldn't do anything. Whatever they casted, it would either get countered by me, or it would just be returned to their hand the next round from from Capsize. So yeah, I ended up selling that as well for like $50. Can you imagine that? 4 Force of Wills in there for $50. Yeah, that wasn't a smart move. So yeah, that was pretty much what I did for fun, but when I was in grade 8. Again, good times, definitely much simpler times, and God, I miss my dual lands. So, but yeah, try to put all these into sleeves so that I can bring them to the campsite tomorrow, so I can teach my wife and 2 of our other friends who are coming along with us. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 people, 4 players, and 4 decks. That should work out just fine. And obviously, I mean, they're beginners, so we'll see if they even like the game. But yeah, other than that, really nothing else happening. Close to the end of summer. A little bit sad, because that means that in Vancouver we're getting closer and closer to the doom and gloom weather again, where it's just nothing but rain and short days. But what are you gonna do? It makes you appreciate summer even more. So if you stuck around for all that, I salute you, and thank you very much for the support. And other than that, hopefully you have a good day. good night, whatever time you're watching this. And with that, signing off.